Today, we're looking back at 5 movies that traumatized a generation. Did these movies leave you scarred too? Grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's go all the way back. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gen X Unfiltered. Today, we are talking about 5 movies that we can all agree traumatized a generation.
Oh yeah, lots of sleep were lost over these movies, I think.
Yes.
So interestingly enough, we decided to do some research and we went back and watched these movies as the young adults we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good to do because some of these I haven't seen in 30 plus years.
So I think the goal of doing that was to rewatch them now as adults based on our memory of kids to see if we really had reason to be traumatized and scarred as kids.
And it was interesting too, like watching them as adults, different experience than I remembered in some cases.
Because I didn't remember half this. I was remembering a lot of the stuff a lot differently than it actually happened.
Exactly, yeah. Remembering it, thinking it went this way, and then watching, like, oh, I thought that happened here, and this was different. Yeah. So watching it again now, it's like, oh, this is totally not what I remembered at all.
So you guys might be wondering which 5 movies we are talking about. We know there is a gazillion movies we could talk about. We kind of picked the top 5 that we really remembered as a kid being like, oh my gosh, I need to sleep with my parents tonight.
Yeah, and these are all like family-friendly movies, we'll say. Like these are, we're not talking horror movies here by any means. These are like
kids
movies.
I
think that's a key point is why these were traumatic as you were kids, because they were intended for kids and families.
Yeah, these weren't like Nightmare on Elm Street. Or these are like family-friendly movies that were for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Not so family-friendly.
And kids got problems after watching these things.
Yeah, watching them as a kid, you're like, what the hell did I just watch?
So let's just get right into it off the top. One of the first movies that we'll talk about, Eric can give a little brief synopsis for anybody out there who has not seen it, but The Never-Ending Story.
The Never-Ending Story was a traumatic movie to watch. So real quick, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about this kid who is bullied, and while running away from the bullies, he goes into a bookshop, and in this old bookshop, he finds an old man and a book called The Never-Ending Story, and this kid reads the book, and he actually becomes part of the story.
Now, on the surface, that's like, oh my gosh, that's a really cute, good feel kids movie.
Yeah.
No, it ain't, folks. No, it ain't.
It's pretty dark.
It's got some dark themes in there.
It's
pretty much like the overarching theme of the movie is just like depression and despair and trying to like don't succumb to it, basically.
Well, and here's a quick thing, and we can each sort of quickly say, like, when we remember watching it. My dad loved this movie. He made me watch this movie when I was a kid. I watched it in my house.
Maybe he was afraid to watch it alone.
On the VHS tape. But he loved this movie. But did you see it in the theater, Steve?
This is a movie that, we talked about this, I'm positive I saw it in a movie theater when I was like 5.
Okay,
and
fair
I think
enough.
that's the only time I ever saw it. I believe maybe I watched it once more after that, but
traumatizing.
Steve saw it once as a little guy. I was like, never going back.
No, I remember one scene scaring me.
What about you? Did you see it in the theater?
No. I rented it. I didn't rent it. My parents rented it on VHS back in the day, and I saw it at home.
All right. So
did you see it in the theater?
No. I mean, not that I remember. I remember my dad watching it. I don't even know if I watched it on VHS. That might be a lie. I think we might have watched it on TV. So I was probably older, and I was still traumatized. On TV, at some point. I don't know.
It was definitely on TV at some point.
I watched it like with my dad when I was younger, and I was like, no, Dad, not my Jimmy Jam. But you know, it is what it is. So, okay, Eric, first off, what is one of the, I think when you were doing some Googling, there's some sort of iconic scenes that are fundamentally traumatizing for people.
I think we can all talk about like our own individual experience with this movie and what left us traumatized walking away from this thing.
Okay, Eric, you go first.
And for me, definitely like, you know, the Swamp of Sorrow and Atreyu, like the
horse.
Atreyu, like the kid and his horse Artax. The horse just gives up on life in the Swamp of Sorrow. What kind of a message is that with just on kids?
He was in there for 4.5 seconds.
And not like the scene itself is like one thing, like the horse, you know, gives up on life in the swamp, which is sad. Yeah. But the scene itself is so like
traumatizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Watching this poor kid scream for his poor horse just to move.
Exactly. He's begging this horse to keep going. Like, come on, don't give up. Like,
don't let the sorrow overtake you.
The horse is just like sinking slowly. I'm like, and then when the horse does sink and is you know dead in the swamp, the next shot is Atreyu sitting there by himself, like in the swamp, just like slumped over, like just sad. I'm like,
Can we
what? What did I just see?
Let's also mention, too, that the kid in this movie, now, I don't know exactly how old they're supposed to be, but the kid in this movie looks like he's probably like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
He ain't no teenager. He ain't no young adult.
He's like maybe 12
he's
tops.
a young kid. And horrific. I can't stand anything where animals die, but okay, so that was sort of, I think we can all agree, was a scene that was really sad. I didn't remember that scene until I rewatched the movie.
Oh, that's the scene. I definitely remember that. And then seeing there's memes about it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
no, that was a scene that's like
did not remember
very
that
as a kid. Like anything with animals, it's no bueno, but that was really,
Steve, you had a other scene that you said scared you when you were a kid.
The scene I remember, and it's funny, when we watched this again, it was
different.
I thought it was two different. I thought it was one scene, but I was like, that was two totally different things in the movie. But there's a scene where the boy is, so the kid that's reading the book is up in the attic.
Yeah.
And there's like a crack of thunder and there's like a stuffed wolf's head that falls and like it makes him jump. And I remember that scaring me, like making, because there's like a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it totally mixed up with another part of the movie where there's a wolf.
Eyes.
With green eyes.
Yeah, that jumps out of a cave at another scene. So I somehow sort of morphed those two into like one.
Yeah.
And I thought that the wolf jumped out and then it cut to the wolf's head falling and like one scene, but it was two totally different
separate
things.
Scenes.
But as a kid, I remember that scaring me.
Here's my thing, which may not be a popular opinion. The damn flying dog scares me. I know he's nice. I know he's nice. It's the weird fish amphibian body with the dog head.
The scales on him are a little weird because it's
don't like
fluffy,
that.
almost like a golden retriever.
I don't
I would have liked it if it was all fluffy more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is the thing where I was talking to you guys about, and you guys are like, girl, you're crazy. And I clearly am, because there was nothing in the movie about this. But then you guys said there was like a Never-Ending Story 2, which I think I might be getting confused.
There was a 2 and a 3,
there was
actually.
3 of them, yeah.
So I remember as a kid, because before we even watched this movie, I said this to you guys, and you guys were like, what are you talking about? But there was a scene where I thought it was the dog. What's his name again? Falcor. Like really sick or like dying or something. And you guys said it was the horse. And I was like, no, I remember the big dog lying on the ground being really sick and like, I don't know if he dies, but it was really sad and it made me scared. That didn't happen in that movie, so I don't know what I'm thinking of.
No.
I don't think I saw the Never Story 2.
I saw part 2, but I really don't remember it.
If I did, I don't remember. Yeah, so it's very possible that you're just thinking of one of the other.
I mean, I saw the second.
Part of the trilogy.
I saw the second one and stuff because my dad really liked the movie. But yeah, again, so overall, I think the movie itself is a very dark-ish movie. Like, there's not a lot of happiness.
It's a lot about, like, depression. You know, like
the nothing.
The nothing that's taking over the world. It's just like black nothing that's eating everything up.
Yeah.
Even the swamp of sorrow, where it's like if you're feeling sad, the feelings will swallow you and you'll sink to your death.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
the nothing is just the emptiness that remains after you've given into despair.
Yeah, so it's very much about like negative thoughts and feings and feeling depressed. It seemed like
do not condone this movie as a children's movie. It's just no.
No, I think it's definitely if you're gonna try and introduce it to your child now, I would definitely say you want to make sure they're probably like 10, 11, 12, 13. This is not a movie for like
33?
5, 6, 7-year-olds for
37?
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think we briefly said, like in the movie for I think it was like 1983 or 1984. It still holds up pretty well.
And that's what I was gonna say though. But like watching it again, like
it's a decent story.
The story was good.
Yeah.
The acting was good. The effects for the time. I mean, there's a few green screens where it's kind of like, ooh, but because everything's sort of like handmade, like props and stuff like that, it didn't look. It didn't date itself that bad.
But I can say I will not be watching that movie again because it still made me. I had a dream last night about it.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I think this movie left a bunch of kids with trust issues.
Yes.
What a theme song. The Never Ending Story song. That's fantastic. That's been stuck in my head since we watched it. I love that song.
That is an amazing song.
That is a great song. So
it had a revival with Stranger Things.
Yeah. So just watch it for the theme song alone.
That's true.
That'll take away all your fears.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get on to the second movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. The second movie is a movie that I watched I think we all probably watched it 1, 2, 3 times when we were younger, and even maybe as adults, but we rewatched it again to get the full experience, and that movie is E.T.
Yeah, this was one of the highest grossing movies of all time for a while.
Really?
Yeah. It was up there, yeah. Yeah.
E.T. was huge,
probably up until like the 2000s when the Marvel movies started coming out, but E.T. was up there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. E.T. was a huge success,
yeah. Exactly. So a lot of people have seen this movie, but anyway, for anyone who hasn't seen it,
yes.
Basically, it's about an alien that gets abandoned on Earth by his people. They have to take off because the feds are coming. And while he's on Earth, he befriends a human boy and his family, and they try to get the point of the movie is they have to get him back to his planet because he's dying on Earth.
E.T. go home, phone home, whatever.
That's right.
E.T. phone home. That's the thing.
Now, a young Drew Barrymore's in this movie.
A very young. She's like 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really young.
That was kind of like one of her first movies.
I think it was her first.
I think it might have been her first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, overall, rewatching the movie's good. Like, again, it holds up well. It's like good story. The acting's whatever, 80s acting. It is what it is. But there is some scenes that are just, they still hit hard as an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, like, watching it again, yeah, it definitely, again, the story holds up. The movie itself, yeah, it was good to watch. It, it didn't really date itself, so other than obviously styles and stuff like that, but...
Yeah.
I think we all agree that the one scene that is just iconically traumatizing, and I remember being a kid being like, oh my gosh, was when he was dying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when E.T.'s, like, lying in the bed, he's all white and stuff like that, and they're like...
They're trying to revive him with, they have the defibrillator out. They're trying to bring him back to life.
Yeah, that was definitely that whole, I remember as a kid I don't even remember it happening in the movie when we watched it again. I remember like when the...
I still remember being white.
Yeah, but that's at the point where like the government's trying to find them, so they're there like in their hazmat suits and stuff like that. But I remember like a hand or something like coming through the blinds.
Oh yeah,
I remember that being as a kid.
Was
that
super
scared
creepy.
me. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
When they invaded the house with their space
when the feds found
they're all showing up to try and contain ET.
Yeah.
The government doesn't necessarily want an alien running around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was, but seeing him dying there and stuff, it was still as creepy as I remember.
Yeah, that scene definitely still gave me the like.
That was tough to watch because they did a really good job of like showing Drew Barrymore's character kind of watching the whole like scene.
Yeah.
And when like they shock ET, you see like Drew Barrymore just like jump back like with that big like electric like boom,
like what are they doing to this thing?
Yeah, what are they doing to this thing, right? You're like as a kid you're watching this and you're like. Is E.T. gonna die here? Like, oh my god!
No, it was.
It was a lot, and even rewatching it. So this movie specifically, rewatching it, I definitely like remembered it pretty much how it was, and I had the same feelings watching it as an adult as a kid. So like I wasn't making up that random things in this movie that scared me. It actually was like
I remember
emotional reaction.
Yeah, I remembered it pretty well to what we saw. Yeah. But that was one of the. I remember that was one of the few movies we actually owned on VHS. We actually had E.T. on VHS.
Oh, I think I did
definitely
too.
Watched it a few times as a kid and stuff like that. But
So interesting, quick story. My mom tried to introduce E.T. to my 7-year-old nephew, and he's a kid who, he gets kind of scared a little bit easily. And I was like, Mom, like this movie's terrifying. What are you doing? And he couldn't watch the whole thing. He had to watch it in bits. But yeah, I mean, even now as a 7-year-old, it's a lot when you don't really understand. Because I'm guessing at that young age, you don't really understand what aliens are. They're just this weird thing.
Aliens itself could be like a scary concept, right? Like, man, like a creature from outer space.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good? Is it bad?
Weird. Like if he's not scary looking, but he's not like cute. He looks like a weird, like kind of worm Tootsie Roll type thing. You know what I mean? Like
that's also, a really good way to describe him. Actually, he's like a form Tootsie Roll.
Really quickly, though, before we move on, though, another scene which is kind of the same. The scene that I didn't like was when the older brother found him in the river.
Oh, that was brutal.
He looked rough.
Well, that's when he's
dying.
I actually don't remember. I didn't remember.
I forgot about that part.
Like, and he's lying in the water and stuff like that. It's like he looks like a bloated fish or something.
Yeah, exactly. E.T. doesn't look right. I mean, I'm not an alien doctor, but
no, it's like I'm pretty. No, but it was. It definitely held up well. But I could see as a kid watching it now, still going to be scary.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like this movie, unlike Neverending Story, this movie I feel like had a nice, like a good feeling about it overall when it ended.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like, Neverending Story had a good feeling when it ended.
We just don't like it because it was dark and this horse died.
No, they all ended. I mean, there was, like most movies, right? There was some redemption and stuff at the end of Neverending Story. It wasn't like it didn't end in like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
The Neverending Story definitely wrapped up really fast.
Yeah.
It was all of a sudden, it was just done. Like, with like a voiceover. And then he went back and everyone's happy. It's like, oh.
It was just not, whatever.
But E.T. anyway, definitely, it ends on a positive note.
And like it kind of brought because it was like a single mom and it brought like the older brother and the siblings kind of together and like it just felt like nice and.
There's some dark undertones to E.T. though, like, cause like there's a whole like divorce subplot, right? So there's some serious issues there for kids, like.
Yeah,
that's
with,
right.
Like, the mom's divorced, and like
because the dad's in California, right?
Yeah,
and then
with Sally, and like
and that's obviously
Elliot uses that to like throw a shot at his mom.
Yeah. So that's and in the 80s, like divorce was not that talked about when we were kids and stuff like that. It was sort of like this weird thing that people didn't really talk about or acknowledge. It was a lot different when in the 80s, divorce and stuff like that was not as socially acceptable, I guess.
It was a newer thing, but like back then, right? Like families were, single moms and divorce became more prevalent, I think, like late 70s and 80s.
Yeah, like it was sort of, but it was not, like again, it was kind of like hush hush. It was like,
taboo.
you
just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I mean, E.T., I would say that I would watch again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was good. And I think, if you want, again, it held up well. Like, so again, some of the effects are kind of cheesy, but overall, like you can watch it again. It's not like some terrible, like campy 80s movie.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 on the list is Gremlins.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Like
Gremlins?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I perhaps watched it when I was a kid. I knew about it, like, as an adult. I don't remember if I watched it, but we rewatched it because, first of all, it wasn't anything like I remember. And that movie is absolutely terrifying. Why would any parent let their child watch that movie? It's horrifying.
I saw this one in the theater.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did your parents not love you?
I questioned that after I left. I was like, mother, father, is this what you're telling me? Like, you're getting rid of me?
Like, so many things to unwrap in this movie. But I know, Eric, you specifically said there was one scene that sort of, again,
well, hold on. Like, for anyone who hasn't seen it, what's it about, right?
Oh, my gosh, we forgot the recap. Eric,
we got the recap here. So basically, Gremlins is a story of, like, the worst Christmas gift ever.
It's basically
it's what it is. So, there is an inventor, and he is going in, an American inventor. He's in a shop in Chinatown, and he finds this gift. It's this little mogwai, is what it's called. It's a little furry pet, and he must have it for his son. But this mogwai comes with 3 very important rules. First, don't get him wet. Second, he hates bright light. Don't put him in the sunlight. And third, and most important, don't feed him after midnight.
That's right. That was the big one. That was like the key one. They said
dire consequences. Yeah. So this little cute pet comes with consequences and a lot of responsibility. So he brings the pet home, gives it to his son, and of course, rules are meant to be broken.
That's right.
All the rules get broken, and then
chaos ensues.
That's right.
Basically, this mogwai turns. He has other little mogwais, and then they turn into gremlins, and they terrorize this town. During Christmas time, by the way.
It's also, that's right. That's always a debate, too, whether it's a Christmas movie or not.
Look,
but it takes place at Christmas, so it's...
There is so much to unpack in this movie, and, like, terrifying. But let's talk about the one scene that sort of is, if you Google it, traumatizing scenes, it's the one scene that pops up. Eric mentioned it. And so we rewatched the movie to see this scene, and I didn't really think that out of all the things in the movie, that was the least terrorizing thing, but traumatizing.
Well, because, hold on. Say the scene you're thinking of, because I might be thinking of something else.
No. You were talking about the scene about no Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah. That was for a kid, like, who's
I don't remember
going to see a Christmas movie who still believes in Santa.
And they basically
the whole story of, like, Phoebe Cates' character, I forget her name, Kate. She's telling the story about why she hates Christmas, right? Because it's sort of the whole thing for her in the movie. She hates Christmas.
Yeah.
And they don't explain why. But she goes into a story telling her boyfriend, Billy, what happened. And I guess one Christmas, her father goes missing, and they don't know why. And then there's a smell from their chimney, and she thinks it's
really messed up.
She thinks it's a dead cat or something. So they call the police, and they go the fire department, and they go look in the chimney, and it's her dad in a Santa suit. He was dressed up to surprise them on Christmas, but he slipped in the chimney and broke his neck, and he was stuck up there and had died. And that's how she, realized there's no Santa.
No, yeah.
And so as a little kid, you're like, what? No Santa?
Daddy died in the chimney?
Dad's dead in the chimney. There's no Santa? That's like... Yeah.
It was a very dark and revealing stories. She just kind of drops on him too.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching, it's like, where the hell did that come? Because they mentioned that she doesn't like Christmas, but it's not like a massive sort of storyline.
No.
And then she just drops this crazy story on him. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, I mean,
drop this girl, Billy. She's trouble.
Yeah, there's just like this crazy story. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It is. That is a terrible story. But as a kid, I feel like I said, if I watched it, I didn't really clue into that part. To me, the terrifying parts were just like the little Mugwai. What's his name? Mugwai. He was cute. Like
Gizmo,
I kind of want a Gizmo for myself. He's cute.
Well, Gizmo was the one that never changed. Right? He was always good.
He was really popular. They had the stuffed animals of Gizmo and toys. They were everywhere back then.
Can I just ask one question, though, before we talk more about this? Like, okay, whatever. It's a movie. It's not real. Yada, yada, yada. But, like, the dad comes home with this basically looks like a little stuffed bear that talks and squeaks and makes noises and is alive. Yeah. And nobody's just like, what is this weird creature?
Yeah, no, I know.
No.
So, they just kind of gloss over the fact that he brought home this really random animal that no one's ever seen before.
It's not like it's a dog or a cat. It's just like this really weird
Well, even the fact that the dad's like, hey, I'm going to buy this for my son at this weird, this weird store. And the guy specifically doesn't want to sell it to him, right? So he gets the little grandson, like basically steals it and sells it to him. It's like
so the only scene that
some bad news right off the bat.
The only scene that I remember as a kid that I was like, ooh, that movie was awful and it happened and it still was effing traumatizing and no thanks, was the whole scene I didn't remember about when the mom's trying to kill the gremlins because they're gremlins now and they're mean and they're evil.
The gremlins are destroying your kitchen.
Yeah. And she mixes them in the blender and turns them on the microwave.
Yeah, puts one in the microwave.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
I mean, she was badass. Mom.
And even some of the gremlins, they actually they kill people too, right?
Yeah.
Like they kill the teacher.
Yeah,
they kill the teacher.
They kill the neighbor,
Mrs. Deagle. Yeah, the woman who's on her electric stair lift.
But it's funny because there is some deaths in there. They're not super gruesome by any means, but
like, the mom in the kitchen, like they scratch her face pretty good and stuff.
Yeah.
The gremlin in the tree.
Yeah.
That attacks the mom, and he's like on top of her, like, scratching her up and stuff. Like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
But again, we got to give props to Mom because she was badass. She defeated those gremlins in her kitchen.
Yeah, she got a couple of butcher knives and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it's.
But again, she didn't seem that like, oh my god, they turned into gremlins. Like it was just sort of like, oh god, like it was just
kind of happened. Yeah.
But yeah, she was badass. But that microwave scene and the blender scene. Oof.
Well, it's weird too because even the gremlins, like they have them killing people, but then they're like going around. That's the one gremlin like flashes feeding cake.
There's a lot of
like smoking cigarettes
in the movie,
and like they're all like goofy and funny, but then they're killing people. So it's a very strange mix.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's a kids movie.
No, like we were watching it. The scene that really like disturbed me more now was the end when Stripe, the leader of the Gremlins, when he has his death scene at the end when like they kill him because he's in that big fountain in the mall, trying to like make himself replicate so he can get more gremlins.
Yeah.
And then they pull the blinds down. And he starts melting in the sun. It's a pretty gruesome scene.
Oh yeah, and it's like all like his face is melting, and then he pops up at the end. He's all like
the gremlin skeleton pops out at the end. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty gruesome.
It definitely seems like I don't know what I'd be curious if it was rated. That had to be like a PG-13 movie. I'm guessing.
I don't know.
It seems like it's.
Traumatizing as heck.
It's not a kid's movie. It's
I think today it would be PG-13 for sure.
So, it's definitely not for kids. It's weird because it's funny, but it's like kind of like I don't want to say a horror movie, but
no, I mean it's campy
it's like
horror right?
comedy, I guess.
Yeah, because they do kill people and they attack people, but then they're doing like crazy stuff, like in the movie theaters, all hanging out, laughing, and doing funny, weird stuff.
I don't know.
It's kind of all over. I liked it though.
It's a good movie.
I probably wouldn't watch it again.
No, I think I might actually. I think I'm going to add it more into the Christmas rotation. I think
you should. Yeah,
I haven't watched it in a long time, but. It's like, that's good. Yeah, I forgot how it's all Christmas and stuff like that. Like, this could be added to like the Christmas rotation.
Yeah. So I mean, Gremlins. I mean, as an adult watching that scene with the microwave, it's how I remember it, and it's awful. Yeah,
shout out to an '80s icon, a young Corey Feldman's in the movie too.
That's right. Yeah. I totally forgot he was in it.
Yeah.
So it seems like, I saw it, but it's like, I totally forgot he was the neighbor whatever's friend. Yeah.
All right, so I think we can all agree that Gremlins, not so much of a kids. But again, okay, let's just stop for a second, though, as we talk about not so much kids movies. The 80s were different. it's not like today where like parents would be like, nope, you can't watch that. Like, I mean,
didn't nerf the edges as much.
No.
Like we were just thrown into watching these horrifically traumatizing movies, and I mean, we clearly turned out okay from it. Not so much.
Yeah, I'm good here.
It was weird. Like I remember my parents. Most movies they didn't care about, but I remember like they didn't want me watching Ghostbusters when I was like 6.
That's so random.
Weird.
That's the
I know,
but whatever. But I'm just saying, back then, like it was just like there wasn't a lot of filtering.
But like kids' movies were a little more dark and mysterious and had sort of these topics and stuff like that. It wasn't all like just happy, sunshiny cartoon stuff. There were some of those too, right? But
maybe your mom hated Bill Murray.
Probably.
I mean, I don't blame her. No offense, Bill Murray, but not your biggest fan.
Bill Murray, he's great.
But no, I do remember that being one movie where there was a bunch of kids watching it at someone's house and she didn't want me seeing it.
Well, parents every so often would get these like little like, ooh, we better not let them watch that. But then it was like, whatever. Like I said, it hit different back then. It was just like, here's some popcorn, go watch the movie that you're going to have nightmares about.
Yeah, exactly.
Different. Okay, number 4, which I don't know if, I think, Steve, you may or may not have watched it as a kid. You couldn't remember. But we rewatched it. We did our research. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like the old one.
The one from the, was it late 60s?
Late 60s.
The Gene Wilder one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Eric, with the recap of Willy Wonka.
Okay, so for anybody who has not seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, this movie is about an eccentric chocolatier. That's that for a fancy word, chocolatier, who owns a chocolate factory, and he runs a contest. And basically, in this contest, he puts 5 golden tickets in his chocolate bars. And if you get a golden ticket, you get to go on a tour of his factory, which is super mysterious. And everybody is like curious what's actually goes on in this place.
Yes.
And you get a lifetime supply of chocolate.
Right there for that.
Yeah.
So as a kid, like that's a pretty cool prize, right? Like a lifetime supply of chocolate and candy.
Yes.
Like, it would sign me up, yeah.
Even now.
Yeah, right?
No, I'd take a free chocolate, yes, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is that your recap?
That's the recap.
Okay, really quickly though.
Oh yeah, and I guess like the a little more happens.
The basic generality of the kids.
So then the kids that win, that get in the golden ticket, they go to the factory and there's rules. Again, rules here to follow. The kids break the rules, and then there are punishments.
Right. And really quickly, the main character kid in this movie is a very, 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 very poor kid who really wanted the chocolate. Of course, he got the chocolate. He took his grandpa, blah, 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 blah.
Old Grandpa Joe he hadn't left his bed in 20 years, but as soon as he got that free ticket to the factory, it's like,
Joe got the energy.
I can do it. It's a miracle.
Now, overall, I don't... nothing in this movie really, traumatized me, per se. There was that whole one scene on the boat where everything was psychedelic and crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of trippy,
Trippy, but, generally speaking, the movie wasn't,
You know what did it for me? It was just the Gene Wilder's vibe in the movie. He was creepy, and you try to figure out why he's creepy, right? Because basically he didn't care if the kids, lived or died.
No.
Yeah.
That
was the weird part. You're this adult, they're in his factory, and these kids, the one kid's drowning in the river of chocolate.
Yeah.
And the other girl, she Veruca Salt, I think her name was. She blows up a big balloon.
Yeah.
And she's gonna burst and die.
And it's you broke the rules, so this is what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, that was the whole thing. It's you
Yeah.
didn't follow the rules. This is the punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later.
Exactly. It's pretty unsettling that an adult would be so unbothered by kids, almost dying in this factory.
Yeah.
It was a weird, I'm trying to think of the vibe. It was weird. It was obviously on the surface looking at it, it was a bright movie with the chocolate and the fountains and although I didn't like the Oompa Loompas. They were a little weird.
They were kind of
Yeah.
And then, but there was something that was just weird about it that I can't.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a weird movie when you think about it, because the first, I won't say first half, but up until you get to the chocolate factory, it's just a normal movie with a kid and this and stuff. But then it's the chocolate factory is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's sort of two totally different movies up until that point, where it's this kid growing up in lower class England.
Poor.
It's poor, yeah.
Yeah, just desperately wanted to go on get this ticket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the factory, it's this whole other weird world of
Now this is where
it's almost like magic,
Yeah.
This is where my brain went watching this as an adult. And I remember, because I read the book and stuff, but I remember as a kid being traumatized is the wrong word. I don't know what the word is. But even as an adult watching it, I was so the whole thing is this Charlie, the poor kid with his mom and his 2 sets of grandparents live in this one room shack.
Yeah.
It's nothing. But the whole thing is that the four grandparents have like shared this one bed in the middle of the room for like 20 plus years and they haven't left. And this is where my brain goes even as a child. Like literally they said Grandpa Joe hasn't been out of bed in 20 years.
Yeah.
How did he pee? How did he go to the bathroom? How did he, like, what's going on? Why, or do they not?
The logistics blew your mind.
How did they,
there was a shared catheter.
Like, how did they smell? Like, there was a lot going, and we're talking a small bed, and I get it. They're trying to be like, they're poor, and, you know, that's but for some reason, that just really bothered my brain.
Well, I can see there's a lot of logistics there, yeah.
It's a logistics nightmare, really.
But then, like you said, Charlie comes home and has the gold thing, and
why
Grandpa
they one
Joe.
shared bed? How did you make that bed?
No, but Grandpa Joe hops up.
Think of
like,
the smells.
Yeah.
Grandpa Joe hops up like, you know, he's 20 years old.
No,
and
as
does
I said,
a jig.
as soon as he gets that ticket, it's like, oh, damn, I'm ready to go. And that's sort of, you see all these memes of that. Like, you know, he's a piece of garbage, this old guy. He couldn't work for 20 years, but the second he gets a free trip, it's like.
I'm confused.
He's healed. It's magic. It's a miracle.
He's a Fred Astaire out there, and is, you know, tap dancing around the living room and stuff.
I think overall, that just kind of goes to like the whole vibe. Like on the surface, it was kind of a cute movie, like whatever. But like it's just there's a weird vibe. Like I don't know what's going on.
The whole big thing too, like what the hell is Willy Wonka? Like is he a wizard or a magician? Like
or just a regular person?
They don't really sort of explain.
It's sort of like a Pied Piper thing. Like he's trying to like lure these kids to his factory. Like what's he doing?
Yeah, so it's like, but. So I think there's a new one, isn't there? Like a new Willy Wonka, like a.
There's two. So there's a remake.
They did a remake, but then there's something. There's like a prequel that came out. Is it come out or is it coming out?
It's out. It's I got the guy from Dune. I forget his name.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
He's dating Kylie
Which
Jenner.
I think it's like a prequel. It sort of explains.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. It's like
who is this guy?
They don't even acknowledge like how does like is it magic that's doing these? Like how is he making this factory? Like. All this crazy stuff and this weird guy, but there's no sort of explanations to like who he is or was he Mork from Orc? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like
At the very least, I would say out of the four movies we've talked about so far, this is the least traumatic movie. It's weird. And
it's more weird than traumatic.
But even the scene that they're talking about where they're on the boat and things are whizzing around and they're spinning, like even that's not soup. Like I don't think that's scary.
No, I don't think if a kid watched it nowadays it would be the only. I mean, it's just kind of it's just weird. It's an out there movie.
Yeah, it's just weird.
But it's not like scary or traumatizing. I don't think.
When did this movie come out?
Well, good question. I don't have my phone on me.
Like, okay, but I don't need the exact date. But like, just
I think it was the late '60s.
'60s. So that's what I mean. For the '60s, it was weird. Like the
like the '60s was like the psychedelic era.
Right?
That's
I explain a lot. Yeah. Although Gene Wilder did do a good job.
He did.
Oh yeah.
When he loses his mind, you get nothing, sir.
You get nothing. I know.
And there's all like freak out. Yeah.
Yeah, because old Grandpa Joe goes into like because he feels they were treated unfairly.
Yeah, and he's like, you broke the rules.
Yeah.
I saw you eat that candy and you floated like bubbles and stuff like that.
All right, guys. I have been mentally preparing myself and psyching myself up to talk about this.
This is a doozy.
And the fact that you guys even got me to watch this movie, dang, you guys are good. Okay, last movie, Return to Oz. Probably the most horrifically traumatizing movie of all time.
Definitely, I think talk to most Gen Xers.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
That movie's on the list of things that you didn't want to watch again.
I think this movie really impacted me because I didn't remember it at all. Like I didn't remember it existed until I saw it come up on a list, and then a bunch of these unlocked memories in my mind were reopened, and I'm like, oh my God, I saw this movie in the theater. I had a coloring book of Return to Oz.
You were blocking it out because it's so horrific. But before we get into that, Eric, what is Return of Oz?
I can't even talk about it.
I know. I don't even want to talk about it.
So basically, Return to Oz is the sequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Horrible movie too.
Yeah, we can touch on that after. But basically, in Return to Oz, Dorothy...
Returns to Oz.
Dorothy's having like visions of Oz, and no one believes that it's a real thing. Mm. So Auntie M takes Dorothy to the insane asylum to get electric shock therapy to get these memories removed from her mind.
She's like 10.
Yeah, so she escapes the insane asylum and ends up back in Oz. But Oz is not what she remembers it to be. It's broken, depressed. The wizard is gone, and this new guy's taken over. And basically, she has to like restore Oz to its former glory.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's right off the bat, like you said, just, they basically think like Dorothy basically suffered a head injury and the tornado is basically what they think it is. And they're going to, electric shock therapy her back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, really quickly before that. Now, I think we can all say that we remembered a few things differently than when we rewatched it.
Yeah.
I definitely remember the movie, and I remember to think it was creepy as hell.
And it was.
It is, but it definitely was not I remember it being much more like the scenes I remember being like freaky were like just little snippets. I remember being like a bigger thing.
Interestingly enough, I think we all said the same thing. So the one thing we always said, well, one of the two things we always said about this movie that was horrifying was the monkeys on wheels that squeaked. They ain't no monkeys in this movie with wheels that squeaked.
There's guys with wheels on their hands.
But they weren't monkeys.
They weren't monkeys, though.
The monkeys were in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
In the second one, it's like, which it might be even creepier, it's actual like humans.
But it's like clowns or something.
They have helmets. When they put their head down, the helmet's got a face on top of it. It's a creepy
have
face.
Super long like arms and legs.
And the squeaking.
They're on wheels, but it's just I didn't remember those at all. I thought for sure it was the monkeys again.
Yeah,
but it
then
wasn't.
Seems like
By the way, this was a Disney movie,
right?
Yeah, thanks Disney.
Disney, what is going on now?
Their dark era.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably the most traumatizing as a child that I always bring up when this movie comes up, and I'm clenching even thinking about it, is the wall of talking heads.
Oh,
the walls of talking heads. Hallway of talking heads.
The hallway of talking heads.
But she like takes her head off and puts it in. I don't remember that part.
And then how can you forget this? The headless version of her is chasing Dorothy through the hall.
When she wanted, I think she wanted Dorothy's head too.
Yeah,
right?
she wanted her head.
She wanted to chop off Dorothy's head to add it to her collection.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's all remind people that we're talking about like a 10-year-old kid, and this is a Disney movie.
Yeah, so basically it's she was the queen, right?
Yeah.
She was the queen.
And basically she has a wall or like a room, and there's a whole bunch of human heads on pedestals that are alive, and she'll change the heads out on it. She'll change her head out for other ones, and she wanted Dorothy's head to add to her collection.
So she chases her through this screaming hallway.
Well, Dorothy goes in there to steal something from the one head that's sleeping. She wants to steal a necklace or something like that. Wasn't it? I forget. Or no, she wanted the key.
It was a key, exactly.
Yes.
And then when she steals it, she runs in and all the heads are sleeping, and they wake up and start screaming.
Yeah.
And I remember that scene being way more terrifying.
Yes.
Like all the heads, I remember screaming. I thought like shattering glass or something.
Yeah.
But it was really just like a 2-second
thing. As
Dorothy runs out, the heads are screaming as she runs past them. And it was really quick. But I still remember that scene, but I remember being way longer, way more
it's funny when
dramatic, but it's like, that was just like a quick little snippet, but it was terrifying as a kid.
Yeah, it's funny how you process that when you're a kid and like how much more longer and more epic that scene is.
Yeah. It was really like 5 seconds long.
Yeah.
And it was not even that prominent. It was more just as the camera moves across the screen that you're screaming. But I remember it like being much more like
more screaming heads, a longer scene.
Yeah. As a kid, it was terrifying.
I feel like
still creepy now.
I feel like I need to have a conversation with my parents. What did they do to us?
Well, they probably, in your parents' defense, they're probably like,
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. It's the sequel. Okay, let's take our kids.
Wizard of Oz is just as terrifying, but that's for another day. I hate Wizard of Oz. I am so terrified of Wizard of Oz. That's why I can't believe I haven't watched this movie. I am so terrified of Wizard of Oz that if people dress up for Halloween as like the Scarecrow and stuff, like I actually physically get like...
really do not like the Wizard of Oz.
This reaction, huh?
No, literally, and people think I'm being dramatic and stuff, but like literally, I don't know what happened.
Like, as a kid, I remember like watching the Wizard of Oz. I liked it.
No, it was terrifying.
I remember once I got in trouble because I hit my sister with a snowball or something like that, and my punishment was I couldn't watch the Wizard of Oz on the Disney Family Night on Sunday Disney's Magic Hour.
Oh yeah, the Magic of Disney on Sunday nights.
They were showing. Well, they were gonna. I guess they must have been showing the Wizard of Oz. I guess, or it was on TV or something like that. My parents. That was my punishment. I couldn't watch it because I hit my sister with a thing of ice. Oh my god,
you were probably heartbroken.
Oh yeah, I remember being like super upset. And I was like, it was probably like 5.
No, terrifying. Absolutely horrifically terrifying. Nope, no way, no how, nothing.
Yeah, no. Wizard of Oz. I remember seeing it and not whatever. But Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz. I remember seeing that. That freaked me out.
Yeah,
as a kid, and I still remembered it up until we watched it again.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So really, really quickly, out of those 5 movies that we listed, if you had to pick one of those movies that you would say is still as equally, I mean, in an adult way, like whatever, but like still holds up as being traumatizing, which one would you pick?
For those ones, I think I would definitely go with the Wizard of Oz or Return to Oz.
What about you, Eric?
I think so. Oh, geez, that's tough. It was Return to Oz or Neverending Story?
Neverending Story would be up there too, but I think for me, Return to Oz is just creepier and just a different thing.
Return to Oz impacted me so much. I think I actually blocked it in my memory that I have to go with that one as being
and the one. I still remember Return to Oz.
I got to stay away from.
I agree. I don't think I'll ever be watching Return to Oz again.
No,
it was just such a weird.
Nope.
It's also like the weakest movie out of these ones on the list. I think
it was terrible
from story and
yeah.
It was like not a great movie.
No.
No, like you said, we said like Never Ending Story, E.T., Gremlins. You could rewatch those again. They kind of hold up and whatever. But yeah, Return to Oz, if you watch it for some nostalgia factor, maybe.
No,
but watching it again just to remember it, and that's
really
probably the last time I ever see it.
I am curious because I feel like, everybody feels the same way as we all do. I mean, of course you do, right? Nobody has their own opinions. Just kidding. But those of you that are listening right now, before you forget, comment on whatever platform and let us know if you agree that The Wizard of Oz or Return to Oz is horrific.
Yeah, if you've seen it, let us know what you thought about it.
Yeah, your thoughts. Because I feel like there's some people out there who are like, "Oh my gosh, that was my favorite movie as a kid."
I'm sure there's some people. Yeah. I mean,
there's probably some purists out there. Apparently, it's more true to the books than the first movie was. So if there's purists out there, they might enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I feel like you're either totally traumatized or you loved it. There's no in between.
I can say I've never met anyone that has ever told me they enjoyed Return to Oz.
No.
Not that I have a lot of conversations about it, but...
my palms are getting sweaty thinking about it.
I'm like, if you can see me, I'm like twitching. I'm like, I don't like it. It just gives me like a reaction. Ugh. All right, but I heard from a little birdie that we might have a little...
It's quiz time. Let's just get to it. It's
quiz time. Quiz Master General.
Quiz.
Okay.
Quiz.
All right, guys.
Is it one question or multiples?
Multiple questions. Don't be silly.
Okay. All right.
All right. So I got 4 questions for y'all here.
Okay.
About the movies we watched.
Oh.
All right.
So some of these you might be pretty easy because we just kind of talked about
Steve's
them.
Steve's going to win. I know.
But here we go.
No pressure.
What I'll do is I'll ask the question. You can answer first, and you can answer second.
Yeah, because he'll know it probably more likely than I will. So he answers second.
I'm going to assume yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So first question. In Return to Oz, we're going back to that movie again.
Damn.
Yeah.
What is the name of Dorothy's robot friend?
Literally no clue.
Okay. So Kelly,
can't even make it up.
An X for Kelly on the first question.
Literally no clue. She had a robot friend?
Yeah.
Oh, the weird little fat guy.
He's bronze.
Little robot,
He looked like the peanut guy.
Yeah. I don't remember his name at all.
Ralph?
Hint, it's also the name of a super popular social media platform.
TikTok.
There you go. It. TikTok.
Okay, I would not remember that at all.
Oh my God. Do you think TikTok stole it from that?
Probably.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Question number 2. I'm going to give you guys both an X on that one. Next question. What is the name given to the Empress by Bastian in Neverending Story? Remember that's how he used to save Fantasia by giving the princess the Empress a new name?
Nope.
What's the name?
No idea. Don't remember at all.
This is actually really hard.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
Give us that.
The next ones are easy. He shouts it out like in the rain.
And I don't remember at all what he said.
I didn't know it either. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Moonchild.
Okay.
Moonchild.
Eric, you are going to be fired from asking questions.
Don't worry. The next 2 are easy.
All right.
Okay. So in the Gremlins, what is the name of the Mogwai that Billy Peltzer gets for Christmas?
Okay, now you're just insulting us.
I'm not.
Oh no, what's his name?
Well, I'm letting you answer this one.
You said his name.
Oh my gosh,
I said his name during this podcast.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm totally going blank. Mogwai. Oh my God, I'm not even joking.
This little singing head.
The gremlin, the cute one.
Yes.
Yeah, the cute one.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm giving you.
Give her Gizmo.
I just spit. Ew.
Oh.
That's like your new bit now.
You just drool everywhere.
It's like your third. Good thing we need to get some new microphones.
I'm old, okay? I drool.
All right, so I'll give Steve a check mark for that one.
Totally.
Kelly, you're skunked so far.
Yeah, well, this
is a chance to redeem yourself here. Okay, so our E.T. What are E.T.'s people collecting at the beginning of the movie? Remember when they first landed at the beginning of the movie? They're on Earth collecting stuff. You don't remember?
The aliens?
The aliens, yeah.
No idea.
I'm trying to remember what the hell they were doing. I remember they're in the forest, but it was like pine cones or something. I don't even remember.
Close.
No, Eric, you suck.
Plants. Remember they're collecting flowers and bringing them onto the ship.
Was it flowers? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought your questions were going to be like, out of these 5 movies, which one grossed more?
No, I was actually asking content-related questions from the movies.
Well, clearly.
So Steve wins.
Okay, one right.
Steve got 1. So Steve's our big winner today.
I knew the ET one. I'm like, I know they're in the forest, but I couldn't remember if they were grabbing plants or pine cones or what.
To be fair, I have the answers in front of me, so I probably wouldn't have
gotten. Did you know the answer other than Gizmo? Did you know the answers?
Honestly, I would have answered Gizmo and maybe gotten the plant one, but probably not. I definitely wouldn't have gotten TikTok as the robot, and I definitely wouldn't have gotten Moonchild.
No.
Because you can't even hear what he says, really.
No, that's the thing. I was like, I'm like, I know he said, even watching the thing, I'm like, I don't remember what he called her.
Okay. I remember we watched him like, oh, you can kind of make it out, but it's like, if you don't know what he's saying, you'll never make it out.
Yeah. Then why on earth would you make that a question if you're literally saying you can't even hear what he says?
Because maybe I thought you were a super fan and knew the answer.
No, I hate Eric. These are movies that traumatize us. I don't watch them.
Well, you did terrible.
I know.
That's right.
Eric, you're fired.
Oh. Next time I'll dial it down a little.
All right, guys, but comment below. Let us know what you thought of those 5 movies.
If you've seen them, let us know.
Any other movies out there that you want to, mention? Because there's lots. We have a long list of movies, but those are kind of the 5 that popped out in our brain, and it was actually really fun to go back and watch them.
Who's not sleeping tonight?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, those are fun to watch them. Some I'll never want to watch again, but it's good. And
I probably wouldn't have rewatched them if it wasn't for the sake of doing this. So it's kind of fun.
Not, yeah, that was good. Good times.
But that's it for today's episode. We thank you so very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye,
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Take care.